Today's case is going to raise questions, surely also many theories. Even the protagonist herself doesn't fully resolve and understand what all happened. It would be great if you, after listening to this story, could give your opinion. What do you think happened and why? Send your experience to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Duration or number of audios doesn't matter. And you can add photos and videos or anything you think is appropriate to make your story as complete as possible. Then I will review that material, and if there are any doubts, I will be writing to you. Friends, let's not waste any more time and start right away with this new paranormal story. Enjoy it. For a long time I thought something bad was happening to me, something related to the medical field, some health problem, because everything I felt, heard, or even saw, I was the only one doing it. This obviously triggered many situations that showed me something incredible. They showed me that I was not the only one in the family going through moments like this. Everyone, and as time went on, confessed to being in the same situation. And I have to tell you that even today different things happen, anomalies and paranormal events that often leave you terrified. In the next few minutes, I am going to tell you part of my life, that part that I wish had never existed, but unfortunately it's real. To begin, I would like to tell you that the first thing I remember, and that it was hard for me to take it as something paranormal. It was what was happening with the lights at home. And I emphasize that at first I thought it was only happening to me, hence the confusion. Every time I entered any room, hallway, the kitchen, the bathroom, or wherever, at the least expected moment, the lights would go out. Mainly during the night or early morning, although it happened countless times during the day as well. It was super common to be anywhere and for the light just like that to go out. You hit the switch and it would turn back on. But something curious to note is that many times the room's own switch had been triggered without anyone touching it, turning off the light. But I returned to the same point. Until that moment, I was just confused because it was happening to me in theory, and it was hard to tell it without being taken for a crazy person. Many times I talked to my mom about it and she just didn't believe me. She didn't take into account what I was telling her, and everything ended up in nothing. In addition to this, and gradually, I began to notice that something was wrong in my room. The first thing was to realize that different things, more precisely objects, were moved without seeing them. Of course, I only found them lying on the floor or somewhere else. Specifically, one picture I have is from my baptism photo. Many times it ended up on the floor. I don't know if there's any message behind this or it's just a coincidence. But then the nights began when, upon waking up, I saw a shadow in a corner of the room. A dark shadow. A shadow that was always there, and if I turned on the light, it disappeared. And here I would like to have the opinion of the people who listen to this, because I heard that this shadow or entity or whatever it is usually appears in this way. But my question is why? What is the reason for choosing me to manifest? I talked about it with my old lady many times, and little by little, she began to take all of this a bit more seriously, perhaps because she herself started to experience some strange events without saying it. So we came to an agreement and hung 3 crucifixes in my room on different walls to somehow make me feel protected. And the most chilling thing was that out of those 3 crosses, the one that was closest to that corner where I saw the shadow appeared every morning. Inverted, hanging, in a very weak way, but inverted, which caused even more terror.
She tells me Aileen has been sleeping since last night. She didn't wake up because she also has a fever. She had a fever and didn't wake up. She's still in bed sleeping, she tells me.
Indeed, my niece was sleeping. I went to see this myself and I couldn't believe what had happened because it was all so real that it confused me a lot. The next morning I went to talk to a priest at the church we have near our house. I told him in great detail everything that was happening to me. I also told him that at home they didn't quite believe me because my mom still doubted many things. Perhaps out of fear, but this lack of initiative made me feel alone and more insecure. The priest listened to me and we coordinated for him to come and bless my house, and if my mom didn't want to, at least he was going to bless my room, which apparently was where the activity was much more marked, more evident for some reason. That same afternoon he came to my house to bless my room. First he entered. He stood silently looking at everything inside. He walked back and forth several times. It gave me a feeling of something. It gave me the feeling that, without saying it, he could see much further. There was something that disturbed him, and I think that's how it was. After a while, reciting something in a low voice, I don't know if it was a passage from the Bible or some specific prayer. Meanwhile, he sprinkled holy water all around, and at that moment, something happened that filled me with a terror like never before in my entire life. While we were both looking in that direction, the room door slammed shut all by itself with great force right before our eyes, and at the same time the light went out. It was daytime, so that wasn't much of a problem, but I can assure you that being there was very, very intense.
I look at the father with a scared face and laugh nervously because I'm thinking, what is happening? And he tells me, stay calm, is it taking effect? I look at him and say, okay, I'll stay calm. Actually, I didn't stay calm. I can't be calm since these things happen to me. I can't be calm. And I tell him, okay, you go on. The father continues praying. I start praying with him. And then the light turns on again. And suddenly my mom enters the room. The light turns on and my mom enters the room and says to father, something is happening in the kitchen. Can you come and see?
We went to the kitchen and found that all the glasses were thrown on the floor and logically broken. My mom heard the noise, and when she went to see, she found that disaster, which curiously happened at the same time as the slam. Okay, we got the feeling that that force or entity manifested itself in this way, showing its anger, showing its fury, because someone for the first time speaking for the priest was standing up to it. After this, my mom asked him to please bless the entire house. That was the key moment, the moment when my old lady became more aware of what was happening to us. And since that day, everything calmed down quite a bit, not completely, but considerably. Until yesterday, February 13th, 2023, when this entity began to manifest itself again. I left my room and behind me the door slammed again. And like that day when the priest came, very, very strong. Needless to say, but I want to make it clear, the window was closed, so I completely rule out that the wind was responsible. There was no one inside, so what happened again was something that aroused my unease and fear. But do you know what alerted us the most? What scared us the most? And even my mom, who was the first to notice. I had gone out, and when I come back home, I go to my room and find my mom inside. She stood there, looking at everything with a terrified expression. It turned out that she was in the kitchen, heard a very loud bang, and immediately went to see what it was about. When she entered my room, she found a tiger plush toy that I had been given when I was little, in the middle of the room. And you know what? The crosses! All three were lying on the floor. We spoke to the priest again. We told him about what had happened, and he was very honest with us. When he came to our house, when he precisely entered my room, he noticed that something was wrong. He tried to get rid of it through prayers and holy water, but evidently it was not enough. Because there are entities or energies that are stronger than others, and that's why not all methods are always effective. At least this is what he explained to us. He asked us many things, among them if we had been in any kind of ritual or something similar, if someone close to us could be, or maybe someone was doing witchcraft on us. But again, everything got very confusing, because nothing we knew could elucidate why that energy was complicating our life. There was no apparent reason for all of this. We tried to look for answers everywhere, and while we never came to a solution, some data may hold that answer.
This happened recently, what I'm going to tell you.
I was getting up early. I was getting into college around 9 in the morning. But it was quite far from my house. So by 6 I was already up. I get up to go to the bathroom. While I'm in the bathroom getting ready, I hear the chairs in the dining room being moved, as if someone was moving the chairs like that. So I thought, well, maybe my brother's wife got up to clean. I don't know. It's the first thing that came to my mind. Either her, my mom, or anyone I don't know is moving the chairs or cleaning the table. I have no idea. I started to feel the chairs moving, like if you were dragging them to arrange them at the table, or like if you were dragging or grabbing them to sit down. Just as I finish getting ready in the bathroom, I go out, head to the dining room, and I see that the chairs are normal, as if no one had touched them. I sit down, have breakfast. My mom gets up, we have breakfast together, and she asks, why were you running on the chairs? Were you making a lot of noise? I tell her, no, I just came out of the bathroom, came to make breakfast, and seconds later you came out of your room. I tell her, from your bedroom. I haven't moved any chairs.
On one hand, I have to clarify that in our house nothing strange had ever happened until I turned 15. That was the exact moment when everything began. At first, I was the only one suffering each of the events, and gradually it spread to my entire family. I say this to make it clear that there were no other people living in our house, but there is something more. The neighborhood where we were was formerly a railway sector, later abandoned, dismantled, and where the neighborhood was located, where many families live today. From what we knew, our house is on that site, and we don't know if it's exact or not, but where is our house? There was one of the maneuvering sheds where there was a crossing and where there were also dozens of accidents. Does all of this have to be there? We don't know. But these data are just that. Simple data, because we don't have a record of anything nor photos or anything similar. But upon finding out, we immediately associate it with the possibility that for some reason it's not our house. It's the area itself that would be charged with energies. And a woman who knows about these topics mentioned my age. 15 years apparently are a key point, and that's why certain entities felt attracted. But I really don't know if she is right or not. And I'm going to tell you one last story, one last situation that I had forgotten. One night I had woken up, I got up, first went to the bathroom, then to the kitchen to get a glass of water, and when I was returning to the room, we have a fairly long hallway, something impressive happened. About halfway, I feel that behind me they call me by my name. I turn around and there was no one. I walked 2 steps, not much more than that, and again, the same voice, calling me and asking me where I was going. I turned around, but as you can imagine, there was no one. I went into the room quickly, closed the door, and didn't come out until the next day. The voice, unlike other times, was like that of a child, and I think this was the most terrifying thing.
Apparently, we were not the only ones going through these things in the neighborhood, because the priest told us that recently a family had also called him to perform almost the same tasks that he did in our house. To get rid of all that from the house, let's say, all those bad energies, he told us and tells us, yes, I worked with a family from around here. That's why I ask you. And indeed, the family told him almost the same thing, that they did nothing, that nothing happened. But he also told them the history of the roads and traffic. So, thank God, as I tell you, currently nothing happens. We live peacefully, the children are already grown up, I continue in college, and well, we are all doing quite well at work. And well, I wanted to tell you all this event so that people see that even in the quietest places, ugly things happen. In that it's not always because of witchcraft or any of those things. Sometimes it's for reasons that one does not expect, and that appear out of nowhere, or that resurface after 1,000 years out of nowhere. And well, that's it.
Thank you very much for making it to the end. See you in a few days with new stories, and now I send a big hug to everyone.